a patient. What do I mean by that? You might be in your compound, somebody just suddenly collapsed. How do you take care of that situation? As a non-medical person, what do? You start calling or looking for a medical person to come and help. So you are in one way or the other being a part of the healthcare system. Now, as a healthcare practitioner who invests in saving lives, in taking care of people, most of the time we have people who goes into what we call cardiac arrest. People who goes into cardiac arrest. What are the things that normally leads to cardiac arrest? There are many, but majorly two of them what we call pulseless ventricular tachycardia, that is heart beating at a very fast rate. After a certain period of time, it will stop beating all by itself. The other major one is called ventricular fibrillation. What do we mean by ventricular fibrillation? Ventricle, the lower part of the heart that is supplying blood to all parts of the body. After maybe encountering some issues or something, he starts beating erratically and all of a sudden he stops beating. What happened? The person goes down. That's why I always ask, I've trained so many people, doctors, nurses. We are training a lot of them now who are going outside of the country. And when I ask them why, and one way or the other, before they could even touch the patient, they were asked to show their certification to make sure they are BLS certified, because the white people, they believe in certification. They want to see if this person is certified. They show their certification. They were allowed to resuscitate the patient. At the end of the day, the patient was resuscitated and brought back to life. And they were happy. They congratulated them. She said what surprised her most was when they got to the airport, they called the four of them to meet at a certain stand. And when they got there, they thanked them again and hand each of them an envelope. She said when she opened her envelope was containing 4,000 euro just for doing BLS, for resuscitating somebody. Why was she giving? Because she had that certification and she was able to touch that person. Now, like I said, knowing CPR, knowing BLS is profitable to have. So get it if you can. Now, when somebody goes into cardiac arrest and they run to you, oh, Dr. So and so, no, so and so, please, can you help me, please? Come, my father is dying, my mother is dying, please. What can we do? Help me, I need your help. You know, at that time, things will be people will be restless, agitated, uncoordinated. You, as a healthcare provider, you, as a person who knows BLS, what are you going to do? How are you going to support that person who is in that dire situation? Well, the first thing you do, the first thing we normally tell us participants, our doctors, our nurses, I normally call them my students, because at that particular time, I am the teacher, I am the instructor. So I normally tell them, when you get into an emergency situation, it doesn't matter whether you are in hospital, outside of the hospital, you have to look out for your safety. Because you that is going to be taking care of this patient, your safety is paramount at that very instance. What do? Check for the environment, make sure that it's safe where you are going to be operating. In that instance, when the scene is safe, the next thing you do on that patient, then you can go ahead now and touch the patient to see if the patient is responsive or non-responsive. How do you do that? You touch the patient. Are you okay? Are you okay? If you know the patient by name, you can call them by name, Mr. John. Are you okay? You touching the patient, touch them hard, not like you touch them little, touch them hard. Are you okay? Are they responding or not? Two things they can do. Either they respond or they don't respond. If they respond, then you can talk to them, find out what is wrong with them and ask them, can I be of help to you? They can also tell you two things, either yes or no. If they tell you yes, I want you to help me, then you can provide the help you needed. If they say no, and you look at these patients and see that this patient actually needs help, this patient is in a sorry situation, then, and this patient is telling you, I don't want you to help me. What do you do? Do you walk away as a healthcare practitioner, as somebody who is in the healthcare system? No. Okay, you don't want me to help you, but I know within me that you need help. What should I do? I can step aside, pick up my phone, call the emergency system, call our emergency number. We all know our emergency number. That I expect everybody to know, which is 112. You can call 112 and then wait for them to come. Do not call them and just walk away. You know how our numbering system is in Nigeria. Now, the first house can be house number 1. I have told you two things. During resuscitation, we call it chain of survival. During resuscitation, first thing you do, you make sure the scene is safe. Secondly, you check for responsiveness. If the person doesn't respond when you check for responsiveness, what do? You move on to the next step. That's step number 3. What do we do in step number 3? You now call for help. Help, you can summon help from your co-workers in overseas. They have in the patient's room, so they have different kinds of buttons that they will press. They will press the blue button, which is called code blue. You can hear it on the PA system, code blue, in so and so room. But if you are here whereby you don't have that system, you can call out, help, I need help. Then when the help comes, then you can also ask them to go and get the defibrillator, which is called AED, Automated External Defibrillator. You can also have access to that. And then, like I said, call the emergency number. Step number 3, call for help, activate the emergency system, and getting the AED, Automated External Defibrillator. Next step number 4 is checking for pulse and checking also for breathing. How do you check for pulse? How do you check for pulse for a patient who is unresponsive? You check for pulse by checking their carotid artery to feel it. If you can feel a pulse, and then while you are feeling for a pulse, at the same time you are checking for breathing. How do you check for breathing? You are looking at their chest to see if the chest is rising and falling. If the chest is rising and falling, at least you know that that person is having some form of activity within their heart. If you feel a pulse, if you are checking for pulse, you can always feel two things. Either you feel a pulse or you don't feel a pulse. If you feel a pulse, you don't do chest compression for that particular individual. If you don't feel a pulse, then you can go ahead and do chest compression. If you feel a pulse, the only thing you can do for that person is support ventilation. Support ventilation. Give that person breathing assistance. But if you don't feel a pulse, then we actually know that this person is in a real cardiac arrest. Then we move to the next step. What do? We want to resuscitate this person as soon as possible. That's when we go into what we call CPR. CPR is cardiopulmonary resuscitation. What do we mean by that? We mean actually doing chest compression. But there is something you have to do before you start CPR. You must, I told you step number 1, checking for scene safety. Step number 2, checking for responsiveness. Step number 3, calling for help, getting the automated external defibrillator, the AED, activating the emergency system. Step number 4, checking for pulse and checking for breathing. No pulse, no breathing, we want to start chest compression. But before you start chest compression, you must expose this patient. You must remove this patient's clothing. Why do we have to do that? There are some reasons we have to remove this patient's clothing. You have to make sure the patient's chest area is bare. Because you have called for AED, automated external defibrillator. You want to defibrillate this person. You cannot defibrillate somebody with their clothes on. So you only defibrillate somebody when they don't have clothes on. The defibrillating parts have to be attached to the person's skin. Also, you want to know if it's a man, whether the person have hairy chest. If the person have hairy chest, you have to make provision for a way to get a shaving stick or a razor. Also, you want to remove hair from that person's chest. In that instance, because if you attach, these are the AED parts. If you attach the AED parts to the person's chest, being a hairy person, it will not work. It will still, the machine will still be telling you, apply pad. Then you will be wondering, I have applied pad, why is it still telling me apply? Because it is not on skin to skin. So that's why you have to get a razor to remove hair from this person's chest. Also, another reason why we have to remove this person's clothing, I said, 1, we want to make sure we are able to attach parts to this person's bare chest. We want to make sure the person doesn't have hairy chest that will be an obstruction. Also, we want to make sure that this person doesn't have an existing medical insert that helps to pace the heart. It's called a pacemaker. Okay, so if somebody have a pacemaker, you might not know when the person have clothes on. So you have to expose the person so that you can see, because when the person have a pacemaker, you always see the protrusion on that side of the heart that they have the pacemaker, because you don't want to put a defibrillator pad right on top of the pacemaker so that you don't send raw electricity to that person's heart. Also, you want to make sure the reason for exposing that person, some people have what they call medical alert bracelet. They can wear it on their neck or on their hand. In this situation, when you expose them, you can see it. Sometimes people write their medical conditions there. It gives you a heads up on how to even care for this person. Giving you a heads up, some people write there, I'm a diabetic patient, I'm a cardiac patient, I'm an epileptic patient, they can even write there, I'm a DNR, so that you don't even waste your time. DNR means do not resuscitate, okay? When you see that, in that instance, what you do for that patient is just provide comfort measures, palliative measures, so that they will just go peacefully. Before they got to that point of saying, do not resuscitate me, they must have consulted with their clinicians, with their lawyers, with their families to get to that point. Because if you resuscitate that person at that instant, you might be a medical liability person for doing resuscitation. Also, you want to check for contusion, bleeding, burns, and all of that. So when you expose the person, you will see all of that. Some people will ask me, oh, you mean you will actually remove people's clothing? What if the person is a woman? Will you remove the person's clothing because she's a woman? I say, somebody that is dying or even dead, will that person who know whether they have removed their clothing or not? You want to save that person's life. So in that instance, you want, after you have certified yourself, this person, there is no do not resuscitate, there is no pacemaker, or even if there is pacemaker, you can still apply AED, you can still defibrillate this person. So in this instance, we have checked and none of that is in place. Now we want to start what we call chest compression, CPR, cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Why do we need to do cardiopulmonary resuscitation? The reason we want to do that is because we want to actually resuscitate this person, because we don't want this patient to die. So we want to achieve what we call ROSC, return of spontaneous circulation. Return of spontaneous circulation, that is what we want to actually achieve. Now, to start chest compression now, how do we do it? That is where most of us fall into error. How do we do chest compression? And what are the parameters, what are the rules guiding chest compression? Now, to do chest compression, you have to kneel beside your patient, not by the foot, not by the head. You have to kneel beside this patient. And also, one of the reasons you expose this patient is also to see the landmark, the actual landmark on where you are going to place your hand. And which part of your hand do you use in doing chest compression? You use the heel of your palm to do chest compression, not your full palm that you use applied in doing chest compression. Now, when you want to start doing chest compression, the landmark where you place your hand is usually in between the nipples at the center of the sternum. In between the nipples at the center of the sternum. That is where you actually place your hand and start doing chest compression. When we do chest compression, some people use all their energy to do chest compression and all of that. It's not supposed to be so. You see people doing chest compression like this, using all their whole body. You see people using the whole of their body in doing chest compression. You only use your shoulder to do the chest compression. You use your shoulder in doing chest compression. Just your shoulder only. You are still doing the same thing. You are achieving the maximum effect that you are supposed to achieve. So doing chest compression is not a do or die affair. So doing chest compression, just your shoulder only will suffice in doing chest compression. Instead of using your waist, your head, your shoulder, and every part of the body. No, that is not the way you do it. So now, when you are doing chest compression, also the reason I was saying that you don't have to use the whole of your power in doing chest compression. We don't want this patient to wake up and then find out that all of his ribs or all of our ribs are broken. So in this instance, you want to use your intuition. So you have to use your intuition. Do it minimally. You are still providing enough effect for this patient. Do it minimally. Use your shoulder. Just do chest compression like this. Not like you are using the whole body, the whole of your strength. If you are using the whole of your body, your shoulder, by the time you do just 5 sets of chest compression, that person will get tired, worn out. I've seen where somebody told us during our class that the husband was in the isolation center and went into cardiac arrest, and she started doing chest compression. How was she doing chest compression? She sat down. She sat down by her husband like this, who was lying down on the cardiac arrest, and was doing chest compression on the side like that. Is that the right way to do chest compression? Eh? Okay, so that is not the right way to do chest compression.